I rise today to offer H.R. 8774, the 2025 Department of Defense Appropriations Act. I want to start by thanking Chairman Cole for his leadership in this process. I also want to thank the Defense Subcommittee Ranking Member, Ms. McCollum, for her friendship and partnership through this. Finally, I want to thank the Defense Subcommittee staff for their tireless work on this year's bill. H.R. 8774 provides $833 billion for the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. Consistent with the Fiscal Responsibility Act, this is 1% or $8.5 billion above fiscal year 2024 enacted levels. While $833 billion is a discretionary cap, the subcommittee has little discretion over 62% of this bill. The funding goes toward must-pay bills, including troop and civilian pay, military benefits, medical care and family services, sustainment of current weapon systems, fuel, utilities, IT, basic supplies, and training and education. This is to say nothing of necessary investments in major weapon systems to keep our military dominant in an intensifying threat environment. These factors are why I believe the current defense top line is too low for today's needs. Present and emerging threats mandate a robust U.S. military, which is, as former Secretary of Defense James Mattis said, requires at least a 3 to 5% real growth above inflation. Finally, due to the decision to consolidate our defense industry over 30 years ago, America's defense industrial base is brittle and unable to mobilize without significant investment. While defense allocation under the FRA is too low to meet America's national security needs, it is the law of the land. This bill is written to be consistent with this law. Today's threats mandate a resolute United States made credible with capable, lethal, and a ready military. The Defense Appropriations Subcommittee scrutinized the fiscal year 2025 budget request line by line and conducted rigorous oversight. This resulted in $18 billion in cuts of requests that were unnecessary or unjustified. This bill provides no blank checks. Instead, this bill builds on the priorities from fiscal year 2024. These priorities include prioritizing the fight against China, promoting innovation and modernization, supporting our service members and their families, optimizing the Pentagon civilian workforce, increasing the department's role in countering the flow of illicit fentanyl and synthetic opioids, supporting America's close ally, Israel, ensuring the department focuses on its core mission of training and equipping our warfighters and not culture wars. Time is not on our side. President Xi is planning to invade Taiwan potentially by 2027, if not sooner. The only way to prevent Chinese aggression is by fielding an operating capability that demonstrate America's military advantage. To this end, the bill increases investments in fifth and sixth generation aircraft, procures deliverable capability, including several Indo-PACOM unfunded priorities. It prohibits the divestment of certain naval and air assets that are still combat credible. And it provides $200 million for Taiwan security cooperation programs while prioritizing defense articles and services to the threatened island. The bill also continues investments in the reawakening and acceleration of American defense innovation. Our industrial base, our defense industrial base, is fragile, and competition is stifled. Almost every major defense acquisition program is plagued by persistent inflation, an aging workforce, costly infrastructure, weak supply chain, overly optimistic schedules, unrealistic budgets, and ultimately, overpromised results. We can trace this back to the Secretary of Defense Aspen's defense contractor version of the Last Supper. Back in 1993, when the defense industrial base consolidated from 24 defense prime contractors to the 5 that we have today. The consequences of this decision, mandate action, which restate that, the consequences of decision mandate action, which must be achieved through an innovation intervention. America's legacy of innovation and entrepreneurs give us an asymmetric advantage over our competitors that they could never replicate. This bill seeks to tap into that opportunity with over $1.3 billion for the Department Defense Innovation Unit and related innovation efforts, including $400 million for the highly successful APFIT program. Modern and innovative practices are needed in more than just our defense capability. The Pentagon workforce and business practices also need to enter into the 21st century. This bill cuts $916 million in unjustified civilian workforce requests and finds more efficient ways to do business. Recognizing the national security threat posed by China's supply of fentanyl-based chemicals to Mexican drug cartels, this bill maintains high levels of funding for DoD's drug interdiction and counter-drug activities with $1.14 billion. This includes an increase for today's National Guard counter-drug program and the National Guard Youth Challenge program, empowering states to take a more active role in the defense of their communities from our number one foreign adversary. This bill also transfers Mexico from NORTHCOM to SOUTHCOM for improved coordination and prioritization. As I mentioned at the outset, this bill focuses the department on its war-fighting mission. The bill includes multiple general provisions from the House Fiscal Year 2024 bill that pivot the Pentagon away from divisive partisan policies and towards military readiness. Finally, underpinning all of these priorities funded in the bill is the imperative to support our service members and their families. The bill includes a 4.5% pay raise for all military personnel, plus $2.5 billion toward an additional 15% pay raise for junior enlisted service members. This will have a positive effect on recruitment and retention, and will improve the quality of life for our service members and their families serving with them. I'm proud of this year's defense appropriation bill, which adheres to the fiscal year constraints while providing a strong military to defend America, our allies, and our partners. This bill procures where we can, trains where we must, and invests in capability that will make our adversaries wake up every day and say, today is not the day to provoke the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to support this bill, and I yield back.